I honestly, when people tell me about Cuban food in New York, your spot is the only spot I really think about.
I mean, you have a lot of Cuban restaurants run by either Dominicans or Puerto Ricans, so
not
know
Cuban food.
It's not Cuban food.
I remember
Sofrito's different. It's not Cuban food.
Well, it's interesting. When I was in, I've probably said this story before too, but when I was in DC, I don't know, it had to be like 2 years ago already, and we had a couple drinks, and we were like spinning our way through DC, past this place, and it was a Cuban restaurant, and I'm like, they had a menu outside, and I'm looking at the menu, and I'm like, this is not fucking Cuban food. And then I discovered, Nick, you remember this is the one that has like the Che painting?
Yeah.
And I went inside and I told them they should be fucking ashamed of themselves. But they had like guacamole and chips. I'm like, this is not Cuban food, bro. This is not what it is.
Funny about the guacamole and chips, we have a place that's called Cafe Havana right next to me. It's maybe 4 or 5 blocks up. Guacamole and chips. And I'm like, well, it's not Cuban.
Yeah, not at all.
You're trying to sell food through a name.
Yeah.
But it's not a Cuban food.
Well, those aren't people that are connected to like the things that we're connected
the culture,
to, right?
No.
Yeah. They don't give a fuck.
Absolutely not.
They care about the almighty dollar.
We actually have a mutual friend, Thomas.
Thomas
Prado.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I love Thomas, man.
And he opened up in, what was it, South Carolina?
Yeah, right outside of Charleston.
Yeah.
I forgot what the neighborhood was called, but it was great. Spanglish. Yeah.
Yeah. So he reached out to me before that and, asking questions and, loved the spot and this and that. And we built a crazy friendship. Love those guys. Him and his wife are
the best.
Super genuine. Mint. She's got, both of them have like genuine hearts and crazy souls. Like they're just amazing human beings.
Yeah. I was sad when Thomas left. Only because I thought that he was another one of the people that was really like pushing for evolution of Cuban food in Miami and like that whole thing. I really believed in that. But I'm glad he was doing it somewhere else. And I was glad that he was like preaching that culture elsewhere, Yeah. And it was great to see them open that spot, and do their thing in Charleston, South Carolina.
In Charleston.
Yeah.
Crazy. I remember when he told me he was going over there. And I was like, wow, it's a big step.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, man. You're introducing someone to a culture.
Right.
Especially when they don't you think Charleston, you think barbecue. You think there's so many things you think about other than Cuban food.
Yeah, you think about like the Sean Brocks of the world, right?
Exactly.
You think totally different dynamic, but Thomas has had the opportunity to preach what our culture really means to a whole group of people that have no fucking idea what it stands for, right? Like, it's crazy because you can ask so many people about Cuban food and they have no fucking idea what that even means.
No.
Or just Cuban culture in general, right? Because we've been sitting behind the mask of oppression for 60 years, right?
Absolutely.
So no one really knows who we are unless it's like a cheapened brand done by people that only care about money.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's good. It was great that he did that. I was sad that he left, but it was good that he was still doing his thing,
Yeah. Because he was in New York for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
he was in New York
worked
for a bit. Westlight, I think.
Yeah, that's a Carmelini restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he worked for Carmelini down here, too, I believe.
Yeah.
So, he works for Connor, which is a fucking G.
Mm-hmm.
Connor Hanlon's a beast. Yeah, it's interesting when you look at the country in total, and there's another guy in San Francisco or LA that's got a small, like, Cuban pop-up. I don't know if it's like a brick and mortar restaurant, but he's doing some really nice shit, man. Some really, really amazing stuff. I'm going to look it up because I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I just missed him. He was in Miami for a couple days, and we're trying to link up for coffee, but, shit's complicated.
Yeah.
So, but, you see, like, little spots, and it's usually people around our age, right? Like, anywhere between late 20s to 40, trying to, like, push the envelope to really, like, get our food and our culture out there, because we're not reinventing it. We're just, like, we're putting it out there to the world. Like, we're not... some other Latin cultures are more exposed to the mainstream.
Yeah.
When it comes to food, we're not.
No.
We're not at all.
No. And listen, my concept wasn't something that was thought about the way it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went to New York, I bartended, and I said, I'm going to be the best fucking bartending in New York City. And I said, well, in between that, during the day, I'll work triples and, I'll run restaurants for other people, you know, and I got through work, running restaurants, I've been to great restaurants and I've been at restaurants that have failed, because of hurricanes and the chef just getting depressed and wanting to get off the line, you know, and having other people run his restaurant. But it taught me a lot. And the bartending thing was always great. So I said, I'm going to open up a bar. And in that, I said, maybe we do a speakeasy, You're talking about La Esquinas of the world, where you're cooking off, some crazy food upstairs. No one knows that you have this beautiful bar downstairs. And I said, well, maybe I'll do that with Cuban food. And when I saw the location, I said, well, I got to put the tins away and I got to put a chef coat on and just start cooking abuela's food and get back into the kitchen. I didn't go to culinary school, but I love food and I loved cooking. And I said, all right, time to put it back on.
Right.
So for me, it was, man, if I'm going to do Cuban food, I'm going to do it right. There's a lot of Cuban places that we know aren't represented well.
Sure. Yeah.
Even at home.
Yeah.
And we grew up eating it, but like you said earlier, the best food is at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the Miami market with Cuban food is so saturated, right? That there's a lot of just like stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of just stuff, and then there's the people that stand out as doing really good stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's very hard to call because it's just like there's so much of it here. It's like what's really good and what's not good.
It's
like
tough.
It's just saturated.
Yeah.
There's just so much. Like every corner has a croqueta.
I was just talking to Nick about this. I don't sell croquetas.
I mean, because
and I love them.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass.
They're a pain in the ass.
And I made 1,000 croquetas for my grand opening, and I said, well, my favorite, and I will say it to my last day, is Isla Canaria. What Isla Canaria does with that ham croqueta is that's my nostalgia. I grew up right next to Isla. I was 127th and Coral Way, and so
I think they are the boss of that.
They are.
Well, I mean, I also would say that just like the food that they do, also on top of that, is very good. So it's hard to.
I was gonna put it on my menu, and I was gonna try to ship them, and I talked to John, and I tried getting them over there, but of course we knew, as far as margins, it just wasn't gonna work.
Right.
So I said, you know what, I'll make it. And after that first week that we sold out, I said, I'll never do it again. I said, and then I got to hire an army to make croquetas every week.
Yeah.
And that cuts into my overhead. I said, I can't do it. So,
I have an army making croquetas right now.
Absolutely.
We have 3 croquetas on the menu, and we have an army of people making.
Absolutely.
And that'll change. But, I mean, just like conceptually, like when you build a place, like Chugs needs to have them, right?
Yeah.
The model is built around stuff like that. Pastelitos, croquetas, coffee. And then, a different, I would say a very different experience of Cuban food. You know?
Or mine wasn't. I was built on how do I do a bowl and sandwich concept.
Right.
All right. And put a couple knickknacks that take me back, like chicharrones, and how do I do it in a fun way where people can order food, pick up delivery, have it outside on standing tables, have a beer, and kind of be like, this is comfort food, this is soul food,
right?
And it still holds up when you get it delivered 45 minutes to an hour later, and you're still like, holy shit. So it's a sandwich and bowl concept, and I said, well, I can scale this, and my whole thing was, how do you do somewhere like that you can scale Cuban food that holds up and it's fucking delicious.